Hi, I'm Grace Wolf Chase. I'm a new hire at PSI. I'm a senior scientist and senior education and communication specialist. I've been an astronomer in the field of star formation for about 30 years. And during the past couple of decades, my primary emphasis has been on integrating research with public education and outreach in order to put a human face on science and scientists. And in particular, I've been involved in integrating research with outreach through citizen science. There are many wonderful platforms for citizen science. Zooniverse is one of them. It's the one that I've used at the Adler Planetarium. It's the one that I've used in my research. My current research is based on a serendipitous discovery made by citizen scientists working on a project called the Milky Way project, which explores differences in star formation across our galaxy. I've also used citizen science in my outreach efforts, which have been specifically geared toward building relationships between scientists and faith communities and involving diverse groups in research through citizen science, giving them those kinds of experiences. So the Milky Way project was about identifying regions containing massive stars across our galaxy. So if you look at the second to bottom image, the H2 region in IR, this is the appearance of a region of ionized gas produced by massive stars. It's a mid-infrared signature. We identified features like this across our galaxy. These are what the mid-infrared appearance of regions like the Orion Nebula, invisible light down there. You can see with the proplids, the protoplanetary disks in the foreground. The nebula itself is lit up by O stars. So when I say massive star formation, I'm talking about O and early B stars. So roughly 8 to 10 solar masses and greater. My research colleagues and I are particularly interested in exploring the differences in regions that produce massive stars versus those that don't. We actually think our solar system formed in the company of massive stars that eventually exploded as supernovae and enriched the forming solar system with heavy elements. So we're kind of interested in what the different conditions are in these different sorts of regions. As citizen scientists, we're identifying these infrared H2 regions. They started pointing out a number of roundish objects that appear yellow and very in these regions. They tagged them Yellowballs. And we redesigned the Milky Way project interface to identify these. And about 3 years ago, we had built a catalog of 6,000 of these objects across the entire Milky Way. So in our process of looking into these objects, what they are, we discovered that the vast majority of them are associated with dense gas that's traced through submillimeter and millimeter observations. So what's particularly interesting about these features is they appear to be a transitionary stage where you can still see the birth environments of the different types of stars forming in these environments. And that's important observationally because it's very difficult to link the initial conditions of star formation with the types of products that are formed. So we thought that these so-called yellow balls are younger versions of those two large mid-infrared features you see north and south. In our study of these objects, we have developed many automated and semi-automated tools to analyze them. One of the things we've developed is a photometry tool that's useful in general for separating extended sources from complex backgrounds. We think that this will be useful for the astronomical and planetary science communities for a range of objects, not just the yellow balls we're studying. And since even the semi-automated version takes a while to go through a huge catalog of objects, we're developing our tool to be used with a citizen science platform that would enable introductory astronomy students to get research experiences in doing photometry. One of the big results of our preliminary study of these objects is that we have discovered that these yellow balls host a number of different type stars across a broad range of mass and luminosity. So what you're looking at here are luminosity versus mass plots. These are not for individual stars, but for protoclusters, developing clusters of stars. And the vertical legs of these individual tracks are where stars are still accumulating mass from their birth clouds. And then the horizontal tracks are where they're clearing house, so to speak. And this is a much longer process. The top three plots actually show some of these features, some of these yellow balls that are associated with massive star forming regions. But we've also discovered a broad range of objects in very, very young stages of evolution that cannot be forming massive stars. So very briefly, what are yellow balls? Our preliminary work suggests that they're snapshots of the early stages of cluster formation across a broad range of luminosity and mass. These are compact objects, only a few tenths of a parsec across. And one of the things we'd like to do in the future is do high resolution studies with instruments such as ALMA to study how the individual stellar embryos actually accumulate mass within these larger clumps that are producing clusters of stars. Now I'm going to segue to my work in outreach. I am the current PI of a grant to engage faith-based communities in citizen science via the Zooniverse platform. This is a grant that's being managed by the AAAS Dialogue on Science, Ethics, and Religion, otherwise known as DOSER. This is a pilot project where we are looking to create enduring partnerships between academic researchers and faith communities to foster new collaborations between individuals from diverse cultures and backgrounds. And we accomplish this goal by working with community leaders to identify Zooniverse projects that can be prototyped for use in their programs, and also identifying potential new projects we can co-create with the Project Builder tool. I'm working with a number of faith-based organizations that are particularly dedicated to excellent science education and to bringing excellent science communication into their various communities of faith. These are just a few examples across the Abrahamic traditions. A number of faith-based communities are particularly interested in environmental work, such as in the lower image, you can see the Chicago Muslims Green Team, who are especially interested in engaging Muslims in environmentally based and ecologically based programs. So we're exploring several Zooniverse projects to do that. I've also been deeply involved with seminary education over the past couple of decades. I contributed to a book a few years back, seen in the upper left corner there, that is designed to be a textbook for seminary students who are studying science and religion. I'm on the advisory board for the AAAS DOSER Science for Seminaries program. And one of the things that we've been doing is incorporating Zooniverse projects into core seminary classes that are taken by all students. We prototyped this in Dr. Sharon Grant's class at Hood Theological Seminary, a historically Black graduate and professional school in North Carolina, with great success. And we're looking to develop programs in other seminaries beginning this fall. I've also been involved in incorporating science into youth gatherings. There are many denominations that host large summer youth gatherings that are interested in bringing science into these environments. A couple of years ago, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, for example, had a youth gathering of 30,000 mid and high school student youth in the ELCA in Houston, and they had a separate exhibit room that featured various science demonstrations as well as citizen science demonstrations. So in asking the question, how can I be of service to PSI? First, let me say, in informal education, I'm really excited about a number of fits with PSI programs. First of all, I would love to work with other education and communication specialists to see how I can bring diverse new audiences into your programs. I would also love to work with researchers who are developing broader impacts in their government grants. I think there are many possibilities to reach out to new diverse audiences. I recognize that my research is significantly different from what most of you do. However, I think we can tell a compelling story, starting with cold clouds in space, to investigate how these cold clouds in space collapse to form the diversity of stars and planetary systems that we're just beginning to uncover. Thank you very much.